Okay, good day, everybody. Just giving a little bit of a presentation on just the upcoming kind of direction to the course. So today we're going to again be doing the last class, and again I feel funny calling it sort of the last class because there's only been two. We could do so many classes on Bodhicitta, for instance, is not funny, and that's the main heart of our practice. And so we should. I always remember my first teacher, again, Kelsing Tarshan, back in whatever 1995 or something, and he was studying Bodhicitta, I guess, at the time in the early 80s with Geshe Kelsing Zasep Rinpoche or something, and they did like a whole year on Bodhicitta, which I just think it was crazy. And at a certain point, he stuck up his hand, and he had told me this. It was really, but he's like, "This is great, but do we have to spend a whole year on this? Like, it's kind of getting." Kind of a little bit boring, right? Like it's just like Bodhicitta. And then, you know, it's just like, well, do you want to get enlightened? Like, this is the only thing to study. So I just feel, you know, so he may felt like completely humiliated by asking such a stupid question. So, but you know, Bodhicitta is something we could study again and again and again. And again, you can study sort of the, I guess, the intellectual content of the teachings, but the big thing, of course, is just all the exercises and meditations to make it heartfelt and make it a personal practice. So we're only basically doing two classes on that. I apologize a little bit, perhaps we can return to it. We'll end up probably having to spend a little bit more time studying emptiness, for instance, because there's a little bit more to those teachings. And in particular, studying the middle way consequentialist school is the one that we all need to do Tantra, and that takes a little bit of work to get straight. So anyway, that's kind of future directions of where we're going. But today, I'd like to present, of course, a little bit more teachings on Bodhicitta, just continuing from last week, a little bit of, I guess you could kind of sort of argue, a little bit sort of more of a philosophical view in some ways you could use to approach Bodhicitta today. I'm not too sure if you guys would like it, but I thought maybe to end the course, the last class we could do a little bit of a Q&A if people, we could just have it open, have a short meditation, and if people have questions or just want to share or sort of give their own take on things or whatever, would that be something you guys would be, or not? Like maybe not. I'm just saying, think about it in the next few weeks if you like, but it just might be fun to have a Q&A at the end of this on certain things that you want to sort of discuss or get clear on, or just sort of present a little bit just your own opinion on something. That would be great. So, and we just think about that. That might be fun to do. Okay, so let's get started here. And actually, I have to go to work literally right after this class. So I have to head back to Vancouver. And so I'll make sure not to go over, try and keep within the hour here, 60 minutes. Okay, so let me just get my Heart Sutra out here again. We can start with that. And let me just, I'm just going to mute some people just so there isn't feedback on the recording here. Okay, one moment. Okay, so let's just sort of, you know, get into the sort of headspace here where we do the Heart Sutra. Just while we recite it here, we can just do a little bit of a meditation on emptiness. So in the Essence of Wisdom Sutra, homage to the perfection of wisdom, the Blessed Mother. Thus I have heard at one time the Blessed One was dwelling in Rajgir in Masvaltra's mountain, together a great assembly of monks and a great assembly of bodhisattvas. That time the Blessed One was absorbed in the concentration of countless aspects of phenomena called profound illumination. That time also Superior Balokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, was looking perfectly at the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom, looking perfectly also at the five aggregates being empty of inherent existence. Then through the power of Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said to Superior Balokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, how should a son of the lineage train who wishes to engage in the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom? Thus he spoke, and Superior Balokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, replied to Venerable Shariputra as follows. Shariputra, whatever son or daughter of the lineage wishes to engage in the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom should look perfectly like this. Subsequently, looking perfectly and correctly at the five aggregates being empty of inherent existence. Form is empty and emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form, and form is not other than emptiness. Likewise, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, like this, all phenomena are emptiness, having no characteristics. They are not produced and do not cease. They have no defilement, no separation from defilement. They have no decrease and no increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, and no consciousness. There is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mentality, No form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no tactile object, no phenomenon. There's no I element, so forth, up to no mentality element, also up to no element mental consciousness. There's no ignorance, no exhaustion of ignorance, and so forth, up to no aging and death, no exhaustion of aging and death. Likewise, there's no suffering, origin, cessation, or path, no exalted awareness, no attainment, also no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because there's no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and abide in the perfection of wisdom. Their minds have no obstructions and no fear. Passing utterly beyond perversity, they attain the final nirvana. Also, all Buddhas reside perfectly in the three times, having relied upon the perfection of wisdom, became manifest, complete Buddhas in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, and complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the equal and the unequal mantra, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, since it's not false, should be known as the truth. The mantra of perfection of wisdom is proclaimed, Tayatam Gata Gata Paragata Parsam Gati Bodhisoham. Shariputra Bodhisattva, great beings should train the profound perfection of wisdom like this. Then the Blessed One arose from that concentration, said to Spirit Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being that had spoken well. Good, O son of religion, it's like that. Since it is like that, just as you have revealed, in that way, the profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced, and the Tathagatas will also rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Venerable Shariputra, Superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, and the entire circle of disciples, as well as worldly beings, gods, humans, and demigods and spirits, were delighted and highly praised what had been spoken by the Blessed One. Okay, so let's take a moment just to do our 9-point breathing. And again, just for people coming in the class or whatever who haven't done it, you start by visualizing a hollow body. So we can feel that our body now is sort of made out of lighter energy and doesn't have a regular sort of organic body of flesh and blood and bones. Again, if you know how to visualize the 3 channels, if you're sort of doing more tantric practice, you can do that. Otherwise, it's fine just to leave it with the hollow body. And the hollow body itself, they say, sort of expels sort of stale winds. In other words, it sort of gets rid of bad chi or sort of stale energy or blocked energy. It sort of creates a form, I guess, sense of inner spaciousness energetically in your body, which is good. So when we do the 3 sets of 3 breaths, we're going to do first 3 gets rid of desires, attachment, sort of hang-ups, being unable to let go of things, being stuck with things. Next 3, getting rid of anger and reactivity, frustration, aggressivity. And the final 3 breaths are just sort of deep breathing out of both nostrils, just sort of really good, increasing your prana breaths, I guess you could say. On the final inhalation, just hold the breath at the navel, just put your mind there. So just a little bit below your belly button, your mind, the prana and breath are all mixing together. And then you can exhale and release it. And when we do it, we'll be touching our thumbs to the base of our ring fingers, curl them over, making a Vajra fist. And as Patricia will tell you, TCM people, this is, of course, stimulating a lot of good acupuncture points here, sort of lung meridian and heart and pericardium meridian when you do this. So literally sort of uniting metal and fire. So I'm just at your lap here. And again, we can get started here. So first 3, just closing our right nostril, inhaling our left, closing our left nostril, exhaling through our right. Doing the same thing on the opposite side when you're ready. can do the whole exercise two more times, making a total of 3, just on our own time here. Okay, so just finishing up, just you can just, if you're just finishing your exercise here, just listen. So we can start our meditation here and visualizing ourselves in a wide open space, ground like lapis, comfortable, easy to sit on, and ourselves surrounded by all sentient beings. So wherever you are, it almost feels like the walls of your house fall away and we're just sort of a wide open plain or space with the whole world with us. And again, we can think that because everything is in a relationship, everything's interconnected. And so literally this is the case, like figuratively or symbolically, we're doing this, but on a literal level, the whole world's interconnected here. And so everything we're doing is having an impact energetically. So we can think that today we're just doing some meditation together and making prayers and so forth, healing exercises, and this is having a positive impact on the whole world and all beings within it. And in particular, that we're doing everything with the bodhicitta motivation. So everything that we're doing today together is for the enlightenment of all sentient beings without exception. So we can feel that our mother is on our left, our father is on our right, the people we love the most behind us to support, and people we like the least or have issues with in front of us as objects of our compassion. And moving out from there, we can just feel people from all over the world, human beings from all backgrounds are with us. We can just think in particular, we have another war going on, always wars going on in samsara, so much suffering, so much politics, so many problems. We can feel that everyone involved in that is here with us to receive prayers and blessings and healing. Jacques Maritain, the famous Catholic critic and philosopher in France in the middle part of the 20th century, wrote a lot about sort of dark times of the 20th century and World War II and this and that, and from a spiritual point of view, Catholic point of view. And Kenneth Rexroth, the famous beat poet, would always bring this up, but they asked him, I think it's very beautiful, but the French press or something said, well, you're always talking about sort of the end of the world, all the terrible things happening, everything degenerating, sort of degenerate times. If everything's bad, everything's falling apart, well, then what keeps us here at all? What's a positive thing? What allows even goodness to exist in the world, even a little bit, even though everything's kind of tumbling down the hill? And he said the only thing keeping things afloat were all the prayers of yogis and yoginis and contemplatives, in particular in retreat. And of course, in the 1950s, when he said this, people just thought it was really ridiculous and foolish. But of course, I'd like to add that I think this is really, really beautiful and true, that this is the light in the world, that whenever we're praying and meditating, we're holding that light and sharing it. And it might not seem like much. There's always sort of a fetish nowadays to run out and do things, but which is good too, a lot of times. But the best thing is to make sure that you have an absolute pure holy center. And if everything's interconnected, this is the energy or light that's shared. That really, really makes a difference. Light ends up sort of lighting or bestowing light upon others, that they light themselves. This is what changes behavior, changes people's conduct, is when they self-change or she could say correct their behavior from sort of negative behaviors to positive. So just feel that we're doing this, really, really sending this prayer energy out to the world right now, time of conflict and war and pandemic. Sharing this light with others. So with all humans, we're doing this, and with animals as well, in the animal realm. Celestial beings, God and demigod beings, countless spirit beings from the spirit realms, astral, ethereal realms, so forth. And countless beings from lower states, rebirth, hungry ghost realm, and hell realms. All these beings are here. So the whole kind of sentient being family, we're all here together, sharing this positive energy. And beautiful sky above us. Sort of dome of a blue sky, like a summer sky. We'll just, again, lately I've just been doing this a little bit simpler meditations here. We'll continue that today. So we're just going to visualize the central figure for our refuge field, being a threefold being from Lama Chopa, being Losang Tubai Dorjichang. So Tsongkhapa with Buddha at his heart, and then at Buddha's heart, Vajradhara and Vajradhatu Ishvari. So Tsongkhapa is in the sky, like the summer sun, and he's wearing 3 robes of a monk, yellow peasant's hat, and he's in sort of a halo of light. We can visualize him, if you like, on a lion throne as well, or just in the sky, just sort of seated in lotus position. And he has in his left hand a begging bowl filled with medicinal nectar, and then in his right hand is in the mudra of teaching, so index finger touching the thumb, holding the stem of a white lotus that blossoms around his right ear. He's very, very beautiful. And again, representing the Hinayana paths of 3 higher trainings of moral discipline, good ethics, concentration, or sort of mind of mindfulness, and ultimately wisdom realizing emptiness. And this being sort of the course or foundation of our practice as Dharma people, as Buddhists. And now at his heart, Buddha Shakyamuni, the Buddha in the form we usually see him as, wearing 3 robes of a monk. He has a golden energy body in lotus position. Again, begging bowl in his left hand with medicinal nectar, and right hand is in the subduing mudra, so palm open, touching the earth. And Buddha is at Tsongkhapa's heart. Kind of the heart of Tsongkhapa is the Buddha, which is beautiful. And in this case, Tubaying, or sort of the overcomer, or sort of the enlightened one, so to speak, represents the Mahayana paths, in particular Bodhicitta. So really the unity of love and compassion and superior intention, again, enlightened on everyone's behalf. And that's the heart of the Buddhist teaching, so to speak. So our inner life is our Mahayana practice. We can just really feel through visualizing this, that our intentions always should be, whatever we're doing, may it be for the benefit of all sentient beings. Whether it's going to the gym, having a cup of coffee, visiting with friends, doing banking, grocery shopping, going to work, walking the dog, cleaning your bathtub, may this be for the benefit of all sentient beings. And being like the unity of love and compassion, love being wanting all sentient beings to be happy, and compassion wanting them to be released from suffering. And now Buddha's heart, very small, kind of like 3 little Russian dolls. You open them up and they go smaller. This being a divine couple, Vajradhara and Vajradhatu Ishvari. Their beautiful sapphire blue bodies, in a pure energy or light, in sexual embrace, wearing crowns and silks and jewelry and so forth. And Vajradhara is in lotus position, just how we visualize Buddha, and he's holding a Dorji and bell. So his bell in his left hand, Dorji in his right. And she's got a curved knife, chopper knife in her right hand. It's called cup of medicinal nectar in her left. And this represents, of course, the Vajrayana Tantric path, our secret practice, the most intimate practice that we have. True intimacy, which is intimacy with the world, with all beings. Breaking down of all barriers, sense of continuity, to use George Bataille's term that I really like, sort of flow of non-self, being continuity with ourselves and others in all things. And this is our tantric path, sort of our own private practices, devotional practices, and qigong and energy practices that allow us to manifest all these Buddhist teachings. Now let's visualize above central figure here, Tsongkhapa. We're going to visualize just a symbol of the Ensa lineage coming to him from Buddha Manjushri to Lama Umapa, his teacher, and to him. We're going to visualize the Buddha of wisdom, Manjushri. So it's almost like 2 suns, one on top of the other here. And Manjushri is in lotus position with a golden energy body. He has holding in 3 jewels mudra, index, ring finger touching the thumb, on his left shoulder, like the stem of a white lotus on his left shoulder, with the Prajnaparamita text and 100,000 lines on that lotus. And his right hand is holding a flaming sword to cut through delusion, with threatening mudra just above his head. And it's on fire. So he's beautiful, sort of orangey gold color. And then around him, just like a beautiful sun, visualize it being sort of a beautiful lapis blue color. So if you visualize the sun high in the sky as a lapis blue sun, it's very surrealist. I think there's a poem that says, I think Paul Leroy wrote a poem about this, but we can just visualize again a blue sun in the sky. And at the center is this beautiful orangey golden little mini sun, I guess you could say, as Manjushri, Buddha of wisdom, showing that he's the guru of Tsongkhapa here. There's a manifestation of Buddha wisdom as well. And this is the lineage coming right down into us through our teachers, Zasep Rinpoche, and all of our gurus. and also represents just our own Buddha nature. We are always already enlightened, I guess, on one level you can say, because everything is empty, including our mind. We just have to realize it. So taking refuge in this, kind of like refuge in emptiness. Let's just recite the refuge in Bodhicitta verse here. I and all sentient beings to achieve enlightenment go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. I and all sentient beings to achieve enlightenment go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. I and all sentient beings to achieve enlightenment go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Through the virtues we collect by giving other perfections, may we become a Buddha for the benefit of all. Through the virtues we collect by giving other perfections, may we become a Buddha for the benefit of all. Virtues we collect by giving other perfections, may we become a Buddha for the benefit of all. So generating true refuge in bodhicitta. Now from the hearts of the two beings here, from Manjushri's heart and from Conqueror Vajra and Vajradhatu, is farther, so the center figure there, beautiful white lights and nectars are coming down. Just like a soft rain for us and all sentient beings. And this is purifying all parts of all negativities, obscurations, obstructions, just, sort of flushing it all out of our body like soot, rancid oil, ashes, smoke, so forth, making our bodies all crystal clear. So just like a soft summer rain, so it's like a sun shower. Now changing the color to a golden color, almost, so I guess you could say just like sunlight. Down. This giving us some power. One's purifying now, the other one's kind of like the merit or the empowerment energy. So golden lights and nectars coming down from Manjushri and Tsongkhapa here into us, giving us realizations and blessing energy. Spiritual power. So just feel just kind of like our soul body or energy body is kind of going up a level here, kind of being energized, powered up for our practice. And our heart's generating the four measurables of love, compassion, joy, and equanimity. May everyone be happy. May everyone be free from misery. May no one ever be separate from their happiness. May everyone have equanimity, free from hatred and attachment. So just really sending up from our hearts love, wanting all beings to be happy. Just like all beings are our children and we want them to be healthy, happy, and living good lives. Compassion, wanting them to be released from suffering. So really having this idea of caring for people, caring for sentient beings. I saw a talk by Geshe Michael Roach once years ago, and it was so good. And what he said is, the question isn't, are we being nice every day? Everyone thinks they're a nice person. Even people that are jerks think they're a nice person. And sometimes, of course, even bad people are nice to their dog or nice to their mom. So it's not enough just to be nice. Anybody can be nice, and we're all nice most of the time, just in public or at work or to our family. The issue is how much on a day-to-day basis have you cared for somebody? Like, are you a caring person? That's a little harder. So just from our heart, really generating that care and compassion, wanting all beings to be released from suffering. So the caring attitude is just, how can I help you? How are you okay? Do you need help? To sentient beings. And joy, so they say the joy of enlightenment, joy of nirvana, sort of beautiful positive power. being completely affirmative, letting things go. Really, it's just sort of seeing the unity of all this kind of really, really deep happiness, peace, and joy. And sending that out. And finally, equanimity, just letting go of attachment and hatred. In other words, of liking things and disliking things, sort of getting past that point. And just having a warm, sort of open-hearted, friendly attitude to the world and all beings in it. Okay, 7 limb practice here, just a little quicker, just so we have some time to meditate. So again, just that we're offering prostrations, respect to the merit field, deep devotion. We're opening our heart with offerings here, sending out wonderful flowers in all directions from our heart, for instance. Owning our negativities, our bad habits, sort of our character flaws, however Shakespearean they might be, so to speak. And again, really sort of making, just in front of the Buddhas here, just sort of a declaration to do better and to really try. Be on a path of healing, be on a path of becoming a better person. Rejoicing in goodness. So instead of seeing everything negative all the time, judging people, picking out all their flaws, feeling that you're a failure, you're a loser in yourself, looking at the world as always being negative, putting on the news, guys, just getting off and being all negative and arguing and fighting with politics and just having a negative mind all the time. Quite the opposite. We're just going to rejoice in things. We're going to see the positive, be happy about all the little good things going on and the big good things in the world. Even if we're just thinking of all the wonderful powers and energies of the Buddhas and different angels in the world and what they're like. And going from sort of a reactive, disempowered attitude to a very affirmative, energetically powerful attitude. Always asking the Buddhas to stay with us, our gurus, to live long stay and to continue to guide and teach us. And finally, to dedicate everything for the enlightenment of all sentient beings. Okay, so finally, just a short mandala offering from our heart, holding up a purified universe. This sort of in a magical way, almost if we were just in sort of empty space and we're holding all universes and galaxies in our hand. Absolutely transformed and beautiful and pure. And sending these sort of, have it sort of expand in all directions and offering all this to the Buddhas. The ground sprinkled with perfume and spread with flowers, the great mountain, 4 lands, sun and moon, seen as a Buddha land and offered thus, all beings enjoy such pure lands. Send forth this jeweled mandala to you, precious gurus, and to the Buddhas. Om Anam Guru Radha Mandala, come near to Yami. Okay, so sort of this again, sort of golden nectar is coming down, just the whole sort of sky is getting bright with energy as we do the dissolution. So first of all, we can really just feel that Manjushri starts to sort of get small. So the blue sun with him being golden in the middle starts to melt and come down and dissolve into Tsongkhapa. And he melts into golden light from top and below, just sort of dissolving inward into his heart, into Buddha. So now Buddha Shakyamuni is in the sky here. He starts to melt into light and dissolves into his heart. So now it's just a divine couple, Vajradhara and Vajradhatu Ishvari. And they shrink and get really, really small. About the size of a sunflower seed, like a little blue diamond or a little blue sapphire in the sky. Again, they may have a pure light or energy. They even say to visualize that they're sort of giving off rainbow lights softly, the 5 element colors, sort of in all directions. A little halo of light. And they sort of float down to the top of our head, enter our crown chakra, a little light, little blue light, and then slowly descending just in front of your spine and to your heart. And when they get just into your center here, sort of your heart of your soul, so to speak, your subtle mind and your heart chakra, they dissolve into that. And just all the compassion, the power and wisdom of all the Buddhas and all of our gurus, the whole lineage here goes directly into us. So I'd just like for us to meditate on Ma Mudra for about 10 minutes here. So just as we just start to meditate here, just go for this visualization to Ma Mudra. Again, just sort of open your eyes softly, and we can just have the mind meditating on the mind. So just being present to all experience. Again, whatever appears to our mind, all thought formations, sensations, anything, just let them pass on their own. Don't repress the ones we don't like or sort of really unpack and sort of get stuck at the ones we do. Just like being a television being on in an empty room. But at the same time, not sort of zoning out, being mindful, very, very lucid. Okay, slowly coming out of meditation now. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about just a little briefly was just some of the thoughts I sort of introducing a little bit last time on bodhicitta. And I guess I don't want it to go, I got about 15 minutes here. I don't want to go too long, and I don't want it to be too intellectual, but I just wanted to share just some of my own thoughts. Sometimes I've had over the years, uh, a long time ago now, in the 20th century. I did a master's in Western philosophy. I was actually going to be a philosophy professor many, many years ago, and was a teaching assistant, University of Ottawa and stuff, when I was in grad school. And I studied a lot, read a lot, and at the same time got into Buddhism, I guess about 1995. And once that happened, I just sort of started getting more into Dharma than philosophy, and decided just to keep my job in the airlines and just do retreat and try and be a Buddhist yogi to the best of my ability, however imperfect that was. And continues to be, but nevertheless, a lot of the ideas that I learned in philosophy, I found some of them were very helpful in understanding Buddhism in general, and Tibetan Buddhism in particular, and some of the stuff around bodhicitta. So there's a couple ideas I just wanted to share with you, just as a way of using maybe a little bit more of a Western context to understand bodhicitta, because sometimes bodhicitta can be a little different for people. I know the two systems of equalizing and exchanging self with others, which is really, really profound and beautiful. That might be a little bit easier for some people, because then you get in talking about Tonglen, and everyone likes Tonglen, this and that. But when you do study the sevenfold cause and effect, which is sort of prevalent in a lot of Buddhist teachings, the sort of lineage from Asanga and Maitreya, about seeing all beings as your mothers and repaying that kindness, wanting to them to be happy, take away their suffering, and so generating bodhicitta on their behalf. Sometimes that's a little bit of an obstacle for certain people. I found over the years, people say, well, I don't believe in reincarnation. I don't believe that all beings are my mothers, or I don't want to repay my mother's kindness. I don't like my mother, or what. Like sometimes you get some funny stumbling blocks there. So I've sort of looked at some of the teachings you get in Western philosophy in the 19th and 20th century, in schools of phenomenology and existentialism, and how they understand desire to be kind of an interesting way of sort of supplementing or giving you a little bit of tools to understand the sevenfold cause and effect. So one thing, and just quick, I don't want to go, this isn't a philosophy seminar and whatever. It's not like we're trying to get a doctorate or something. Just certain ideas I think are good. And one thing, the sort of founder of that school, famous German philosopher Hegel in the 19th century, said that basically to understand human reality, you have to understand desire. Desire is at the, I guess, center of everything. And that's desire in sort of a wide sense of that you caring about yourself, caring about your being, wanting to do things in the world. So it's not just a question of sort of satisfying a dissatisfaction, like desire of being hungry and so therefore you eat, desire of sleeping because you're tired, but also a desire to create yourself, like who you want to be in life, the choices you're making on a day-to-day basis to be a certain person, your career, your spiritual life in this life, sort of the journey you're on, so to speak. All of that's about desire. And what Hegel said is that what desire does is it, in his book Phenomenology of Spirit, or Phenomenology of Geist, is desires what actually structures the world in your experience. So when you're going about your world on a day-to-day basis, all the different sort of projects you have, these projects are basically self projects, or projects to create a sense of self, like going to work, doing things at home, meeting with friends, sort of all the little duties we have on a social level every day, the sort of symbolic universe we live in, is about creating a sense of self for yourself. So your sense of self is always in question. So you're always caring about it and doing things to sort of create that sense. So what desire does is that in any moment, in the projects that you have, the sort of involvements you're going about, you're pulling things that are attractive or relevant to you and then ignoring other things. So you're creating what they call in psychology like a figure ground. Certain things that are relevant are coming, or you're noticing them or engaging with them. Everything else is being ignored. So what happens is that the world you end up creating ends up becoming a mirror. So the objects around you are basically mirroring who you are at that moment, or the self that you're trying to create. So what he says desire is a self-reflection. It's kind of interesting. Your desire is motivating you to do things that end up sort of structuring the world into a universe of meaning that gives you sort of a self-reflection. So when you start thinking about this, what you end up, so like, in other words, everything you're doing is creating a situation for yourself to reflect yourself. So what philosophy is doing is that we want to sort of have what we call reflective self-reflection. In other words, seeing that you're doing this, seeing that the world is actually basically a creation of your mind. Because literally what's appearing to you as the things that are appearing the way they are to you is how you're making them appear to do the things you want to do, the things to create a sense of self. This is, of course, pretty straightforward and pretty clear in a lot of ways. But what's interesting is that Hegel ends up saying is that things basically appear as something. This sort of gets taken a little bit more detail in the 20th century. But again, things are appearing determinate or relevant to you based on your involvements, which create a sense of self. So what things are, how things stand to you, the objects around you, is again, they work as mirrors. So to let something be what it is what it is for you. What it is your reflection. What you basically, it's telling you who you are. It's making the world relevant or meaningful you in a way that makes sense to you. So that's the basically the being of something or the nature of something is how it is for you. It's basically like your mind, what it's telling you your mind is at that moment and what you're doing. But Hegel also says we don't just live in a world of objects. Like, in other words, my watch will tell me when I'm looking at it, I not only know that this is a watch, a dog won't know that it's a watch, but it'll also tell me that, for instance, oh, I've only got 10 minutes left in this class or whatever. So it's actually giving me a sense of the project I'm doing because I have to go to work, right? But Hegel also says that you don't just live in a world of objects, you live in a world of others. Now, other people, we're all speaking language, are doing the same thing that you're doing. So what's interesting is that other people, they're not just objects, they're other centers of universes. And so what Hegel ends up saying is that you have to sort of bring in Kant's categorical imperative here. I have to treat people as ends and not means. If I want to be, in other words, I can't treat people as just being objects in my world telling me who I am. I have to see them as having a world of in and of themselves, where they have sort of a universe that's telling them who they are. So we're all in our own little universe here. So there's a sense of ethical respect that has to happen. But another thing Hegel says that's good is that basically you have to see that it's only because of objects and other people that I can create myself the way I am, that I'm sort of dependent on a world and other people to make this possible. So I guess this is where I wanted to say with bodhicitta is that when we're meditating on the sevenfold cause and effect, the first thing we have to do is look at equanimity, in the sense that that's the basis for our Mahayana path, as we start getting rid of our biased attitude of liking certain people, disliking others, liking certain things, disliking others, and sort of making a sort of balanced, grounded attitude where we really sort of see all beings as being the same, relatively the same, and that we have an open, caring attitude towards all of them. That's the basis, that sort of very sort of moderate, mindful, letting go basis, I should say, equanimity is for a Mahayana path. On that, we end up taking the first thing is we see all beings as being our mothers. We're all interrelated. We've all been born countless times. As Buddhists, we believe in reincarnation. So all beings have been our mothers. All beings have cared for us like our mothers, have taught us everything. We come into this world, we're taught how to walk, to eat, to talk. Our mothers, even our family unit takes care of us until we're old enough, this and that. So really there's this fundamental debt, I guess we could say, that we have towards other beings that make it possible. So I wanted to say, just bringing the phenomenology aspect, is that literally you can see that the world, other people and objects make you who you are. That your sense of self is dependent on everybody else. That's the funny thing. We have this sort of self-cherishing attitude where we're just who we are no matter what. We don't need anybody else. I'm me. You know, I created myself, ex nihilo, this kind of thing. I don't owe you anything. It's all about me, this and that. But when we really look at it, the language I speak, the way objects are for the world, everything that tells me who I am, that allows me to operate in the world, is because of the kindness of other people. So that's, I think, the fundamental thing is once we have the realize that other people are technically giving birth to us at any moment, objects are giving birth to ourselves at any moment, there's a sense of how do I repay this kindness? That's the next step. If all beings have been my mothers, they've all shown me kindness, how do I repay their kindness? So that's what, Hegel says, is that if all beings are sort of creating, helping us create ourselves, and in particular, other people are giving us a language to speak, giving us a whole social world that we live in to actualize ourselves, I have to treat all beings and all things as ends, not means. In other words, I can't just see them as props, something I've created. I have to give them their own existence back. I have to see my dependence on them, but also their kindness. So Hegel was a good Lutheran, and he said that the way of actualizing Kant's categorical imperative of being ethical by treating people as means and not ends is the Christian idea of love, in particular, love as forgiveness. Love as forgiveness. So Hegel says, I have to see that my desire on one level, I'm always interacting and almost using people or seeing people as objects for myself to create me who I am. I'm just like in the Lord's Prayer, forgive me my trespasses as if I've trespassed against others. Please forgive me of being desirous in a selfish world of sort of seeing people as objects and using people as objects. Why? Because they're not. They're not just that. They're making me who I am. And I have to forgive other people for doing the same thing to me. So forgiveness is the way that I create love and the way that I repay this kindness to the world. So on a Buddhist level, that's letting go. Forgiveness is letting go. That's a huge part, I guess you could say, the emptiness quality of compassion is being able to forgive and let go. So bodhicitta, how do I repay this kindness of others? Well, they say, this is all beings have been my mothers. They've created me who I am. I repay their kindness. I see that basically the next step, of course, for sevenfold cause and effect is you have affectionate love, cherishing love, and wishing love. If all beings have been mothers, we're all this huge family. They're creating me who I am. It's like a family attitude that I have. I see all beings, I love them as much. I not only just like them, I love them. And how do I love them? I have a cherishing love. I love them like a parent does to their kids, or like a family love, in the sense that even like in a bad family where, your sister or your brother's a bit of a jerk, but you still love them. You still are devoted to them. If they need your help, they end up in the hospital with cancer, you're there for them. You have that attitude towards all beings. So the wishing love is that you really want all beings to be happy. You really want all beings to be happy. That's sort of the core love of bodhicitta. If I want all beings to be happy, I have to notice that they're not, that we're in a world of suffering. I look around me, samsara, the wheels of samsara turn, there's all sorts of problems. So these are all my children, my whole family, and they're suffering, but I want them to be happy. So what do I do then? Well, how can I make them happy? How can I fulfill this great love wish, and almost as sort of repay this karmic debt, so to speak? I love them. I want to move their suffering. Only I can do this. Superior intention. I can't wait around for someone else to do this. But how do I do this? What's the best thing that I could give them? What's the best gift that I could give them to remove all their suffering and create happiness as a way of repaying this kindness? Well, that's to get enlightened. And in particular, the teachings we'll see on the unity of karma and emptiness. The unity of karma and emptiness is what allows us to create reality in general, you could say. And so create a whole Buddha world or Buddha mandala. And wouldn't this be, again, the fulfillment of Hegel's idea that we're all sort of in our own universe, and to love and forgive all, because I allow, by me becoming an enlightened being, in doing just teaching emptiness and karma, I'm giving every other sentient being the tools and the resources to do the exact same thing for themselves. I'm allowing them to be a center of reality like I am. I'm allowing them to be in an absolutely pure universe. That's the greatest gift that I can do. So that's where that motivates bodhicitta. That's the final sevenfold cause that produces the effect of bodhicitta, superior intention. That's my life. That's my categorical imperative of treating all beings as ends and not means. I really want to see them as having their own world, their own universe that's completely pure and happy, and sees it. Like in a lot of ways, what I'm also doing by having bodhicitta is I see the importance of getting enlightened. I see that we're all in our own universe creating reality as it is anyway, but we're creating a diluted suffering reality rather than a pure reality. So this is what I could give back. Anyway, this guy, I could go on and on and on about this. There's probably a lot more, but that was sort of what I wanted to share with you a little bit. That's a lot deeper, but like I said, that helped me when I was trying to understand stuff around bodhicitta for the sevenfold cause and effect. Equalizing, exchanging self as others is very, very profound because it really is based on an idea, a very overt idea of emptiness. But I do like this idea. I do like this idea of seeing all beings as their mothers, seeing their kindness and repaying that. I mean, just imagine on a day-to-day basis, if everything that happens to you, see it as an act of kindness, right? I get on a bus, that's an act of kindness. That bus driver doesn't have to drive it. The city didn't have to create it. We didn't have a road there. That's all an act of kindness. I'm even speaking a language that was taught to me that allows me to create a whole world. That's an act of kindness that people taught me English when I was a kid, my teachers, right? Everything's an act of kindness. So rather, imagine what that makes you feel like if you feel that all beings are being kind to you rather than all beings are just trying to get something or be mean to you, or that you're in an oppositional relationship. Completely different. So anyway, just like to end on that, and we can just take a moment to sort of think about those things. And good, and that's that. So thank you. I have to get going to work now. So let's just take a moment to dedicate our bodhicitta practice today. Thank you for coming and for sharing this with me. And thank you to all of our gurus that have taught us these teachings, in particular, Archaya Zasep Rinpoche, we've been studying with. And just think blessings of all holy beings and all of our gurus, the truth of karma, of causes and their effects, and the power of pure spirit intention, bodhicitta. You just see, having talked about this, how important bodhicitta is. So imagine really sort of having this as our intention. May all sentient beings reach full awakening, and may all of our dharma wishes be fulfilled.